The Revolution of Collective Rise: Why Black Leadership Demands Ecosystems, Not Superheroes. When I first met T. Wright, I wasn't prepared for how fundamentally she would challenge everything I thought I knew about leadership, success, and what it truly means to break barriers. T isn't just a visionary leader, she's a revolutionary architect designing entirely new pathways for Black professionals that reject the damaging myth of the exceptional individual and instead embrace the transformative power of intentional communities. In a world obsessed with celebrating lone wolf success stories and superhuman resilience, T. Wright's research reveals something profoundly different, something that could transform not just individual careers, but entire organizational cultures and communities. The true power of Black leadership, Tia explained to me, leaning forward with an intensity that commanded the room, isn't just about individual achievement. It's about intentionally building ecosystems of support, wellness, and collective advancement. This insight strikes at the very heart of how we typically conceptualize professional success. Many believe the journey upward is fundamentally solo, that we rise or fall based primarily on our own merits, grit, and determination. Work harder, push through, never show weakness. These are the mantras we've internalized. But what if this entire framework is fundamentally flawed? What if the narrative of exceptional individual achievement is actually undermining sustainable success for Black professionals? This is where T's groundbreaking work becomes not just important, but urgent. Her research reveals that thriving as a Black leader requires cultivating strong networks and prioritizing personal well being as much as professional ambition. This holistic approach challenges the traditional narrative that resilience alone is enough. Instead, it's community care and strategic collaboration that unlock sustainable impact. Let me share three revolutionary insights from T's research that fundamentally reshape how we might think about Black leadership and professional advancement. First, thriving professionally means investing in your own well being just as much as your career goals. Self care isn't a luxury, it's an act of leadership for Black professionals. This might sound counterintuitive in a culture that glorifies hustle and sacrifice, but T's research makes a compelling case that sustainable success requires sustainable self. Think about it. How often have we celebrated those who work themselves to exhaustion? How frequently do we applaud the person who sacrifices everything, health, relationships, joy, at the altar of professional advancement? For Black professionals, navigating workplaces never designed with them in mind, the toll of this approach is even more severe. The second insight is equally powerful. Building intentional networks and communities amplifies both individual success and collective progress. We rise higher together than alone. The emphasis here is on intentional, not networking for networking's sake, but strategic relationship building that creates mutual support systems. And third, challenging systemic barriers isn't just about breaking through for yourself. It's about paving new pathways for future generations by transforming organizational culture from within. This perspective shifts the goal from individual achievement to collective liberation. These aren't just theoretical concepts. T shared powerful real world examples that bring these principles to life. Consider the Harvard Kennedy School's Empowering Black Leaders program. When Malik Johnson first joined this initiative, he was the only Black executive at his company. The isolation was crushing. I felt like I had to be perfect all the time, he told T. One mistake, and I'd confirm every stereotype they already believed about people who look like me. The program brought Malik together with other emerging and established Black leaders across sectors. Together, they developed strategies not just for personal growth, but for organizational change. What makes this program transformative is its holistic approach. Rather than focusing exclusively on technical skills, it emphasizes self care routines, peer support circles, and practical tools for influencing institutional culture. Malik described the first time he admitted to the group that he was struggling. I expected judgment, he said. Instead, I found understanding and practical support. For the first time, I realized I didn't have to carry everything alone. The results speak volumes. Malik and other alumni report increased confidence advocating for themselves and others at work. Many have implemented new mentorship initiatives within their companies or launched affinity groups supporting other employees of color. Dozens have advanced into executive roles while simultaneously driving measurable improvements in employee engagement among underrepresented staff. Perhaps most significantly, the ripple effect has led organizations to revisit diversity strategies company wide, demonstrating how empowering one group can benefit entire workplaces. This is ecosystem building in action. Another powerful example comes from the Berkshire based Blackshire's Leadership Program, which serves as a pipeline connecting local talent with civic boards to increase equity on decision making bodies throughout Pittsfield. For decades, critical decisions about housing, education, and economic development were made by boards that looked nothing like the communities they served. Black voices were systematically excluded from municipal decision making, limiting opportunities for local Black professionals to influence city policy. Enter Jasmine Williams, who helped create collaborative cohorts focused on advocacy training and network building across sectors, businesses, nonprofits, and government. Participants gain visibility while learning effective community engagement strategies. Before this program, Jasmine told T, I never saw myself as someone who could shape policy. Now, I'm not just at the table, I'm helping redesign the table itself. The outcomes are remarkable. Graduates now hold seats on planning boards and civic committees previously lacking diverse representation. They've also started grassroots projects addressing economic disparities. Multiple alumni serve simultaneously on public commissions while mentoring next generation leaders through outreach programs. The impact extends far beyond individual careers. Broader participation has shifted policy conversations toward greater inclusivity citywide. This example showcases how network creation transforms both individual careers and institutional landscapes. A third powerful story comes from research highlighting how intersectional bias creates unique burdens, what researchers call an emotional tax for Black professionals navigating predominantly white workplaces. Dr. Kimberly Foster documented how Black employees often face microaggressions alongside wage gaps, which compound stress levels while limiting upward mobility. But her research also uncovered powerful solutions: employee resource groups, sponsorship programs pairing mid level managers with senior advocates, plus targeted financial literacy workshops aimed at closing wealth gaps. Organizations adopting these solutions report improved retention rates among underrepresented staff and increased satisfaction scores related to inclusion. Some featured companies now publish transparent promotion and pay equity data annually and offer mental health days specifically acknowledging racialized stressors. These efforts help normalize conversations around race at work and create tangible changes benefiting all marginalized groups, not only those initially advocating. What these examples collectively demonstrate is something revolutionary. Success for Black professionals isn't just about individual achievement or breaking glass ceilings. It's about creating sustainable ecosystems that support not just one person's rise, but collective advancement. As Maya Angelou wisely noted, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. T. Wright's framework embodies this philosophy perfectly. When we succeed, we bring our communities with us, not just metaphorically, but through intentional structures and systems designed for collective uplift. This perspective challenges conventional wisdom in several important ways. First, it reframes self care from a luxury to a necessity. In a world that often expects Black women, especially, to be endlessly resilient, prioritizing wellness becomes a radical act. As Audre Lorde famously said, caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. T's research affirms this truth. Sustainable leadership requires sustainable selves. Second, it transforms how we think about networking. Rather than viewing professional relationships primarily as transactional connections for individual advancement, T encourages us to build intentional communities of mutual support. This isn't networking, it's ecosystem building. Third, it expands our definition of success. Breaking barriers for yourself is important, but creating pathways for others to follow represents a deeper, more lasting form of impact. True leadership isn't just about reaching the top, it's about changing the very nature of the climb for those who come after you. The implications of this framework extend far beyond individual careers. When organizations embrace these principles, they create environments where everyone can thrive. When communities adopt this ecosystem approach, they build sustainable structures for generational advancement. So, where do we go from here? How do we put these principles into practice? The time for polite conversations about inclusion is over. The time for symbolic gestures and diversity statements is behind us. What lies ahead is the hard, necessary work of dismantling systems that were never designed for collective thriving and building new ones that are. This isn't just about changing policies, it's about fundamentally reimagining what leadership looks like, what success means, and how we measure impact. I challenge you today. How will you invest not only in your own growth, but also intentionally build networks that empower others along their journeys? Who could benefit if you turned every milestone into an open door? Will you have the courage to reject the myth of exceptional individualism and instead embrace the revolutionary power of collective rise? Will you prioritize your well being as fiercely as you pursue your ambitions? Will you measure your success not just by your own achievements, but by how many others you've helped elevate? The future of leadership isn't about lone wolves howling from mountaintops. It's about wolves running in packs, hunting together, surviving together, thriving together. This is T. Wright's vision. This is the ecosystem revolution, and it starts with each of us right here, right now. Thank you.